Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. This last week a notice was published by ITAC that rebate item 41211 looks like it'll be back on the table from July to September this year, and I thought I'd just take a few minutes to walk you through what the new guidelines say. They're still proposed, they're not finalized yet, but presumably the final guidelines are going to be published sometime this week. When they do come out, I'll put out a short note again. Now you'll recall in March, just right about the time that we were all going to head into lockdown, a rebate item 41211 was activated. This is the disaster relief rebate. And it was available for a range of products which allowed you to import them without paying duties or VAT. And this went on from the 30th of March until the 31st of May. And then the decision was it was no longer needed. There was enough domestic production and enough of the stuff in the country that we didn't need to continue the program. It seems as if shortages are again arising, and so it is going to kick off once again. However, unlike last time, a couple of rules are going to be put into place. Firstly, ITAC have spent a little bit of time looking at which of these industries actually exist locally. And of course, the idea originally was, well, if it attracted a duty, then it must have had domestic production. But we found out, for example, in our application to get paracetamol included, that paracetamol was not produced locally. We have not yet got a complete list of what these eligible industries are, but so far in the proposed guidelines, they've highlighted masks and surgical gloves. So the process this time when you apply for your certificate from ITAC will be that you first need to get hold of the domestic producers or the industry association and see if they can or cannot provide you with what it is that you need in the volumes you require. The process of applying, it's not entirely clear at this moment, but the process would be presumably that you would contact these companies, you would say, this is what I need. You would have to attach copies of the correspondence to your application to ITAC. And at that point, ITAC will make an assessment of your position. Included this time, specifically noted, in fact, in these guidelines, is that ITAC reserve the right to verify. So whatever you've stated in your application, they can go and double check this and make sure it's correct. Applicants need to be registered with SARS as importers. This was a requirement for last time, but we got lots of calls from companies who were not registered. So please be sure you are registered. If you need help with getting registered, let us know. If you want to buy shelf companies that are pre-registered, we can put you in touch with accountants that sell these companies and are pretty much good to go. Now, when you make your application, you need to be sure that the application is not deficient. Again, this really matters. Last time round, many applications completely and utterly deficient. So time has to be spent to make sure your application is not deficient. ITAC will take 3 to 7 days to make an assessment of your application from when they receive a complete application. If your application is not complete or incorrect, they are simply going to kick it out, and this will put you at the back of the queue. That queue can be particularly long. I'm not sure how many people will be applying this time around, but certainly with the last round, there were thousands and thousands of applications that ITAC needed to process. I would suspect they'll be quite ruthless in their assessment process here. When a rebate certificate is issued, it will stipulate how long it is valid for. This means you must have cleared your goods through that certificate before the expiry of the certificate. Any goods that you bring in afterwards, after the expiry of the certificate, will just attract the normal duty. So you have to be careful that you don't apply for really large amounts on your certificate which you can't use up, and that also causes chaos. There's a lot of planning that goes around this. Your certificate should be reflective of an accurate amount that you believe you will be bringing in. Under no circumstances will the certificates, however, be valid for longer than 60 days. So, and of course, end of September, like I said, is looking like the end of the program. So anything uncleared at that point, you are going to end up paying duty on, or you're going to have to re-export it or do some such things. ITAC have full discretion around who they will issue certificates to. We can't compel ITAC to do anything, so you need to be sure your affairs are in order. I would guess things like tax compliance are going to feature here. And then finally, like I said, when you make your application, you are going to have to attach copies of the correspondence you've had with the domestic producers for them to confirm that they can't indeed supply you. Now, I can imagine there's a little bit of tension here between the domestic producer and the importers. The domestic producers may just not want importers to get a toehold in the market. The guidelines are not clear on what happens if you approach the domestic producer and they just sit on your application. They take forever. So, they take 3 to 4 weeks to respond to you. We're going to propose to ITAC that they have some mandatory period that the domestic producers must respond within, and if they don't, that the permit is issued. However, that in itself becomes a problem, because again, if we look at the thousands of applications that were received last time, I can only imagine what's going to happen if there's only 1 or 2 domestic producers and they're flooded with thousands of these applications. It's not clear how that kind of process is going to work, and I guess we'll have to see how the final guidelines propose to deal with that. The other issue is your information when you submit is going to be shared with the Competition Commission, with SARS. That's really important. Government has a concern of excessive pricing, particularly if they're giving you a rebate. So they want to avoid a position where you get this benefit and you abuse it and excessively charge customers. So understand when you're applying for this, there is a distinct possibility you will be audited also by the Competition Commission to make sure that your pricing has not been excessive. And that's about it. A copy of these proposed guidelines is on the COVID-19 section of our website. And as always, feel free to contact us at covid19@xa.co.za. Be sure to follow us and ring the bell to stay up to date with all the new information that comes out. Stay safe. Bye-bye.